What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Mike, and it's been far too long since my last video. Look, life happens, things get busy. I'm a husband and a father. Life gets hard, you know what, and that's okay. But we're here, we're doing the thing, trying to make some improvements around here, and I'm kind of excited about today because it's been a little over a year since a last pedalboard rundown, and I've got a lot of changes, a lot of very different things today. But if this is your first time to the channel, here's what you can expect from the Average Mike YouTube channel. First off, I started the channel to give you gear demos. Using gear you could actually afford and sounds you're familiar with. So if that sounds like something you want to hear, I'm working on demos. The second thing you can see on this channel is a lot of HX Stomp related content, and a lot of that's going to be based around patches, amp patches, all-in-one patches that are kind of tailored to what we do on Sunday mornings at church. Really love serving my church, and I've got a lot of free patches down at the links below, and I'm working on more patches if that's something that you maybe struggle with or something you want to try out. My goal is to be a resource for you guys, so stick around. And the third thing that you can expect on this channel is kind of what I call tone tips. We're all just kind of chasing after good guitar tones using different gear, so I just wanted to share what I learned, share my takes on things, and hopefully it's helpful to you guys. So I'm just here, just an average guitar player, hanging out, having a good time, trying to get some good tones, and if that sounds cool, come stick around. But like I mentioned, today we are doing a pedalboard rundown of the board I've been using over the past number of weeks here at church. And I'll say this first, the pedalboard I had last year and that I kind of is sitting in a pile of jumbled mess over here was great. MIDI, big box pedals, including the DD500, RV500, but I wanted to simplify. I wanted to try maybe some old things. I was a little bit late to the game, so pedals like the DL4 and the RV5 I never really had a chance to really use. I mean, the DL4 came out in like 1999. That's nuts. And to really kind of go after something that's relatable for you guys, I wanted to kind of put together a board that was simple, familiar, affordable, and something that sounds good. Pretty much all of the pedals, with the exception of the HX Stomp on this board, you can all find on the used market for $100 or less, ballpark. So I hope this is a good example of some things that you can do, or some pedals you can use, or maybe it inspires you to use what you have, something like that. But I've been talking way too much. Really quickly before we jump into the board, let me show you one thing. The guitar that you'll hear today is this GNL Doheny Fullerton with Sir Thornbuckers. I got this a couple years ago. It is by far my main guitar, even though I've got a couple new buddies back here. You'll see those, but this is the go-to, and I've really enjoyed it. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at this thing.
Alright, I know what you're thinking. Is this a school desk? It absolutely is. So it's time to go to school, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this thing. Right up front, guitar goes into the classic Boss TU2. Tunes your guitar. I've had this for forever. I think I literally got it for a Christmas present from my brother when I was like 14. I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but it was a while. Out of the tuner, we're going into the Barber tone press. This thing's a staple in the praise and worship kind of compressor vein, and it's pretty easy to see why. It's just very neutral. Doesn't add a lot, doesn't take a whole lot away, and just evens things out. So, and the thing I like about it too is they're not crazy expensive, pretty affordable. So Don't feel like you gotta go crazy with compressors and stuff. And we'll get into settings a little bit here. We can see everything's kind of close to noon, 1 o'clock-ish. Blends right kind of in the middle. Volume's just over middle. Sustain just over about 130 there. Nothing too crazy. Out of the compressor, we hit the what I would call the wild card of the board here. This is the Source Audio Zeo, and it's essentially a preamp with some flexibility. I actually got this because I was having issues with signal loss on my big board specifically through the use of the true bypass looper. So this has a buffered output and 4 different preamps that you can pick from, obviously, and then a level output. On top of that, it has a tuner out and then a tone switch here. So really in this case, it's kind of serving as a preamp flavor and then a place that I'm using to make adjustments between guitars. So typically, you know, if I go from something with humbuckers to single coils, I can just bump the output and maybe knock the tone down a little bit here with that 3-way switch. But it's a lot easier to make adjustments here than it is kind of elsewhere in the chain. So super useful, and I've come to really enjoy some of the preamp flavors that are kind of in here. So from there into the MXR Timmy. This has been a staple on our boards for a number of years at this point. And the reason being, as far as drive tones, for the stuff that we do on Sunday, it's just kind of the sound in my head. And it's simple, I like it, and again, affordable pedal. From the Timmy to the Keeley Katana Mini, I've always been simple, where I want to take an overdrive and a clean boost after, and that's kind of how I get my tones. In the Keeley Katana Mini, obviously small, affordable, sounds good. What more could you need, right? From the Katana, we go out to we kind of sneak up here to the input of the HX Stomp. So within the Stomp, you guys can see, you might not be able to read that, but the patch I'm working with right now is what I've named my Benny Plus version 3, because it started out with kind of a Benson style IR, and I don't think it still really sounds like Benson anymore, but that's what it started life as, so it gets to stay. So from the Katana into the input of the HX Stomp, within the Stomp we have 2 modulation blocks. The first one is the Retro Reel, that's in mono. The second one is the Legacy Dimension, just for some of those chorus tones. You can see both of those are on my foot switches here. After the Dimension block, we have the stereo effects loop. So we go stereo out of the Stomp into the DL4. Again, you can see stereo in, stereo out. On the DL4, I essentially we'll hear all these in a little bit, but I kind of have 3 presets here, of course. Tap tempo, again, super simple. And essentially what I've done is I've taken 3 different versions, and I kind of settled on using the analog with mod model here, and just using 3 different versions of it. Just kind of like the way it sounded, so we'll hear those in a little bit. Out of the DL4 into the timeless classic Boss RV5, and there's only one setting you got to know about here, and it's the modulate setting. So that's what it's in, and essentially I'm using this as kind of my second reverb, or I'm stacking reverbs really. So this is think of it as my second stage reverb. Again, full stereo back into the Stomp. And then within the Stomp, after the RV5, we have the dynamic plate. So that's my always on reverb right now, is the dynamic plate. Just kind of enjoy that plate reverb, sounds good. And plate reverb is kind of the reverb sound in my head. So again, we'll hit sounds in a minute, but typically this plate reverb is always on, and then when I want more reverb of a more ambient sound, I'll kick on the RV5. So that's kind of what I'm going for there. Amp-wise, what I have right now is a Line6 Aristocrat. I'm using two Line6 models actually, mostly because they don't use a ton of DSP. So, and they sound pretty good. Honestly, I've been kind of monkeying around with some of those Line6 models. They sound good. And what's not to love? So the Line6 Aristocrat here is tied to or paired to the Tone Factor Chimera 212. I forget what IR exactly that is. Yeah, I usually go for a position 3, typically SM57 and Royer 121 or M160 are kind of my go-to mics, so it's probably one of those. And then on the other side we have the Line6 Ventu. Really, when I pulled that one in, it just really kind of surprised me. I enjoyed that. And that Ventu is tied to a Tone Factor JMI 212 100 watt. Again, probably a position 3 with the I think a 121. But yeah, these Tone Factor IRs sound really good. Really, I've dropped a bunch of different Tone Factor IRs into different patches. They all sound great, so that's awesome. The only other thing I've got going on with the IR block is a low cut on both of those up to about 80 hertz, just to cut any of the low yuckiness out that you don't really need. So that's kind of the whole signal chain. Let's get into some tones.
Alright, so I'm not really used to doing things from this side, but hopefully you get the idea what's going on here. So I got nothing on. This is just going to be core amp tones, just coming from the HX Stomp here. So pretty dirty kind of, especially on the bridge humbucker there. Let's hear the compressor. So knocks those big chords down just a touch. Those compressor things, what more do you want? From there, the Zio, so without. I do with the humbuckers like it in the low cut setting here, and then just kind of output to taste. The tone is on the bright. Switch the bright setting there. Again, kind of a subtle thing, but it's something I've gotten used to, and I think it's a little bit more the feel maybe than anything else, especially tonally. Feels a little better, and I think it sets up, especially like using the low cut circuit with the humbuckers, I think it sets things up for a little cleaner signal through the rest of it, so I like it. I use it. Okay, so far we've got this. And the Timmy. I really like the Timmy, especially like in this setup, because it can still kind of do the cleanish. So I still got enough dynamics to kind of have some good range there, so I can roll the volume back. So after the Timmy, we've got the Katana. Just like kind of what the Clean Dude Boost does. Just pushes the amps, pushes everything. I like it. So from here to the HX Stomp. So let's hear this. Here's my current retro reel setting. These two first like kind of modulation blocks are subject to change, really to whatever I need that Sunday. But here's the dimension. Coursey things. I like the dimension. Works for me. And then next in the signal chain we have the DL4. So again, three kind of sounds here, right? So three presets. This first one is kind of a maybe a touch longer than a slap back with a couple repeats. And the mix is set just over halfway, so the repeat is louder or about the same as your dry signal. And it's just a way to get a wet tone without washing everything away too much. So here's what that sounds like. And then with a little plate reverb. Sounds cool. I don't use it all that much. Usually I spend most of my time kind of on these two. So B here. It's kind of a medium analog style delay. I could really live here. I just have to learn how to tap quarters or tap dotted eighths, which if you can hear a dotted eighth repeat, you can typically tap it. So it takes a little practice, but not a huge deal. Again, little plate reverb. And then this last one, C, is just kind of a really long analog delay. Really long. And that's just for more ambient stuff, just to give it a little bit of a wash. So I'll typically use that with kind of all the reverb and kind of do. So that's kind of how I usually run that. So after the DL4 we have the RV5. That's the modulate setting just by itself. So yeah, sounds really nice. And then after the RV5 we go back to the Stomp, and here's just again that dynamic plate just by itself. So let me just turn some stuff off and on and get you guys an idea of kind of some tones here. So let's see. Look, that was fun. It's the middle of the night here. I don't know what's going on. I can't think straight. Again, my goal is to put something together that was affordable and obtainable, and that sounds good. And I've been really impressed by the sounds that I've been able to kind of get out of this. And a lot of that comes down to the HX Stomp and the things that you can do with it. It's not a cheap piece of gear, but it can do so many things. And those old friends, the DL4, RV5, they sound great. They sound really good. And those tone factor IRs, man, if you use a digital solution, get some tone factor IRs, throw them in, they sound fantastic. Do you need them to sound good? No. Do they help if you're struggling to dial things in? They absolutely do. Again, not a pedal board full of crazy expensive things. So use what you have, use what you can afford, and dive deep into it. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one.